Forrest Gump and his mother said, "Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to find." In this video, we're going to take a look at what's behind the boxes of chocolates, empty, alas, in the museum's collection, and see what they reveal about life in Hopewell 100 years ago. 100 years ago, if you wanted to bring a gift to your sweetheart or as a hostess gift, you would probably get a box of chocolates from Hopewell Dainties. That would have been just the thing. It's hard to imagine that 100 years ago, the Hopewell that we know, with its quiet neighborhoods, good restaurants, galleries, and shops, was a center of industrial activity, but it was. In the first half of the 20th century, Hopewell was the home to a number of thriving industries, and the leadership of the town were actively encouraging businesses to move to Hopewell, and in some cases were investing in them. A group called the Hopewell Improvement Association formed in 1892 to encourage the growth of business in Hopewell, particularly taking advantage of the railroad. One of their first actions was to build a large factory building in what is now 37 Railroad Place to house a shirt manufacturing company. Earlier that same year, the Hopewell Canning Company had opened a little ways down the street, and the Hopewell Improvement Association arranged for water to be run down Model Avenue from a private well at the other end to serve both of these buildings. By 1893, the shirt factory was placing a help wanted ad in the Hopewell Herald for 100 girls to work for $6 to $9 a week, operating their sewing machines. It remained in business in Hopewell for 10 years, from 1893 to 1903. Now we come to the chocolates. In 1904, the first of two chocolate businesses came to Hopewell when a candy company called Belle Mead Sweets moved into the renovated shirt factory building. Belle Mead Sweets had been founded in 1902 by John Guild Muirhead of Belle Mead. It manufactured chocolate bonbons in Hopewell for just 1 year, from 1904 to 1905, and then moved to Trenton, where it ran successfully until 1934. Here's a 1902 want ad in the Hopewell Herald for 50 girls and young ladies who wanted employment in a candy kitchen working in a clean, light, ladylike manner. The candies were sold in pharmacies, particularly George Pearson's drugstore here in Hopewell Borough. Here we see some advertising for the boxed candy. A print ad at the time described the candy this way: "Each dainty piece is made in the Belle Mead different way, in the sweetest, cleanest, sunniest candy factory in America, where even the air is washed." And here are some of the boxes from Belle Mead Sweets from the museum's collection. With the departure of Belle Mead Sweets for Trenton, the factory building was leased to Fraley Vibrator Company, which manufactured belt vibrators and a small hand-operated unit that was used by barbers to give their customers a scalp massage. In 1907, the Hopewell Herald reported that Harry Cox used one of these Fraley vibrators for his customers in his barber shop on Seminary Avenue. Fraley moved out of that building in 1909. In 1909, a group of prominent men of Hopewell incorporated a new business called the Hopewell Chocolate Company to make high-end bonbons and chocolate. They hired Clarabelle Shattuck as general manager. Now, Clarabelle Shattuck was an experienced candy maker. She had worked for 16 years in commercial candy making, and she was at the time the superintendent of the Belle Mead Sweets factory in Trenton for its first 4 years in Trenton. Now, the building got some upgrades, and a sign was painted prominently on its side and on its end, which is still partially visible today. Like Belle Mead Sweets, the Hopewell Chocolate Company employed many local women. Here we can see some of those factory workers posing outside the factory building. The candies were marketed under the name Hopewell Dainties, and they were also sold in drugstores like Belle Mead Sweets had been. Here's a photo from the museum's collection of a drugstore interior that has the Hopewell Dainties display. Hopewell Dainties were sold in all different size boxes, and the Hopewell Museum has a number of different boxes, all empty, of course. Sadly, Hopewell Chocolates didn't weather the Great Depression. It continued to make candy from 1909 to 1930, when the building was sold at public auction. There is one intriguing mention in the Hopewell Herald of another candy company opening in the building in 1931, but very little is known about it. Since that time, the building has been used reportedly by the Rockwell Manufacturing Company, Smith Machinery, and an organ manufacturer, as well as a storage warehouse. It was converted to artist studios and apartments in the late 1990s, about 100 years after it was first built. Local people still refer to the building as the Chocolate Factory, and you can still see the remnants of the painted sign at the end of the building. This is the collection that the museum has of boxes from Hopewell Dainties and from the Belle Mead Sweets Company. These two here are both from Belle Mead Sweets, and as you can see, they're both metal boxes, more substantial. This one was chocolate-covered fruit and jellies, probably. And this one, which is a much more substantial box with a nice hinge, is not in very good shape, as you can see, but it still has that nice flower and fruit motif on the front. These boxes, which are pasteboard, are the ones that were from Hopewell Dainties. This one probably would have been appropriate for Valentine's Day or for a gift for a sweetheart, and we're not quite sure what was in this box. It's labeled Sub-Deb Package. We're hoping to find out what that means. This box, which is fairly substantial and probably would have cost some money, was an assortment. Here we go, I'll show you a little bit more. And not very interesting inside, as you can see. It's not very different from a box of chocolates you would get at Robinson's in Montgomery today. So this was chocolate-covered nuts, and the nuts they had were filberts, almonds, pecans, and walnuts. This little box, which would probably be the bottom of the line, not very good shape, as you can see, so the paper covering has come off. This was chocolate-covered marshmallows. And this very elegant box with this very elegant H on the Hopewell was a nice assortment. So you might probably have seen this one in the drugstore. Here we have something, again, we're not quite sure what it is, but we think it's pronounced Try One, and also a very classical looking box. And finally, everybody's favorite, or the one everyone loves to hate, the chocolate-covered cherries. This box in particular is not in very good shape, and it was at one time apparently used for storing Christmas decorations. What is a wonder about these boxes, they're fairly fragile cardboard, and people kept them for 100 years. So they must have been very special at the time they were given. I hope you've enjoyed this glimpse of a business that many people associated with Hopewell in the past. These may look just like empty boxes, but they represent two successful businesses that employed many local women and men and contributed to the town's economy and culture for over 3 decades in the early 20th century.